Welcome to the Brazil of 1492. The year is 1491, and soon the drums will begin. Soon the fire will be stoked and the village will wake to another day in the heart of the Amazon. You are an explorer of sorts, though not like those who came after. You have no conquistadors' lust for gold or scientists' thirst for cataloging. You are here as a witness. It's a song of the forest, of the river, of life itself, sung in a language you cannot understand, yet its rhythm echoes in your soul. A splash, a flash of silver as a fish breaks the surface. Life teems in this green world, seen and unseen. The sky above is a vast, inky expanse, a canvas for the glittering jewels of the cosmos. The river, dark and still, reflects the celestial show, a watery mirror to the heavens. The air is alive with the symphony of the night, the buzz of insects, the distant call of a nocturnal bird. The jungle, once so vibrant, so teeming with life, now seems to hold its breath, lost in the embrace of the eternal night. You feel the weight of countless eyes upon you, the rustle of feathers as unseen creatures watch from their leafy perch. You are but a visitor in this world, an observer in a realm of green so dense, so eternal, it feels timeless. From your vantage point on the riverbank, the world stretches before you in a tapestry of green, the jungle a sea of emerald, broken only by the silver thread of the river and the sky above. The sun climbs higher, bathing the world in a thick, warm light. The air hums with the drone of insects, the rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth. It is a world untouched, untamed, a realm of green so profound it seems to devour all light and sound. A witness to a people whose very existence would be erased from the maps of the world, whose lives were intimately entwined with this humid, green, timeless world. Come now, let us step beside them, into their world. The air grows thick, heavy with a scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. The light, once so vibrant, now filters weakly through the dense canopy, painting the ground in dappled shades of green. As the sun begins its slow descent, the forest comes alive with the chorus of evening. Insects hum, frogs croak, and the symphony of the night begins its crescendo. The sky, once a dome of endless blue, now bleeds into twilight, the canvas painted with hues of burnt umber and fading rose. The river, a mirror to the heavens, softens, losing its sharp edges and blending into the gathering dusk. The fishermen, their work for the day done, begin their slow paddle back to shore, their silhouettes etched against the fiery sky. They are both masters and servants of this green kingdom, taking only what they need and giving back in thanks and reverence. The jungle watches, silent and timeless, as the last rays of sunlight bleed into the horizon, leaving behind a sky aflame with colors both vibrant and subdued. The emerald crown of the trees deepens, turning the forest into a cool, shadowy realm, a world apart, a world of green so profound it feels like the absence of all other colors. And in this realm you are but a visitor, a transient soul in a timeless place. The first light touches the broad leaves that form a vaulted ceiling overhead, filtering the sun into emerald shards. Moss drapes over gnarled roots that march skyward like praying hands. The river, dark and fathomless, stretches before you, mirroring the inky hue of the sky above. This is the Amazon, not the one of maps and satellite images, but one older, quieter, forgotten. Here the air is thick with humidity, alive with unseen sounds, a symphony of buzzing, chirping and rustling, a language you do not understand, yet somehow feel in your bones. As the first light touches the tallest trees, the eastern sky bleeds from indigo to soft lavender, then to a vibrant, almost painful blue. The river, still and dark, reflects the celestial show, a liquid mirror to the heavens. Fishermen, their faces weathered and lined by the sun and wind, glide through the water, their movements as fluid as the water itself. Their nets dip and rise, a silent plea to the river's bounty. The river, patient and wise, gives forth its silvery-finned children, each movement purposeful, each cast a prayer, a communion between man and the liquid heart of the world. The men, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strong, are an extension of the river, their bodies powerful, their movements precise and graceful. They are one with the water, their lives as cyclical and eternal as the tides. The rising sun, a molten disk of fire, spills over the eastern hills, setting the sky ablaze with hues of amber and rose. The jungle stirs, awakening to the day. The chorus of birdsong rises, a cacophony of sweet, haunting notes. Monkeys chatter in the treetops, their calls echoing through the dense foliage. You hear the rhythmic slap of a paddle against the hull, the gentle rocking of a dugout canoe. Now you hear the first notes of the day, a haunting melody that drifts across the water, carried by the wind's breath. In the distance, you see movement, a flash of brilliant blue, the flash of wings, the sudden dive of a king. Here in the heart of the Amazon, life ebbs and flows with the rhythm of the river, the heartbeat of the forest. We end our journey as we began, by the river's edge. There's something very relaxing about this kind of music, isn't there? The instruments seem to speak of a life lived close to nature, don't they? This style is called chants de la mer, which translates to chants of the sea. It is said to originate from the coastal regions of French Guiana in South America. Of course, I'm no ethnic, so I went looking for videos on YouTube and came across this one right here. It made me feel so at peace. This video has some elements of a travel vlog and some elements of a documentary. It is filmed in French Guiana, which is interesting because the official language of this country is French. Guiana is a tropical forest with rivers, lots and lots of rivers and creeks and tributaries. Most of these waterways are unnamed. They wind through the green in an untamed fashion. On either side of the river is jungle. In fact, most of this region is covered in rain. The only sign of human presence were the two men who paddled along the riverbank. They would stop now and then to fish with spears and nets, stopping only when they had enough fish for the day. They would return to their village later. The next time we see them, they're walking along a dirt road towards what looks like a wooden hut. As they walk, the camera pans around to show us our We can see other houses made of wood and palm leaves. I imagine a peaceful community living in harmony with each other in the environment. All of the homes have a woven palm roof, and they seem to be on stilts above the ground. This makes sense considering how wet the terrain is. Also, I imagine it helps keep pesky insects away. Can you imagine anything more beautiful than living in a community like this? Peace, tranquility, no traffic, no deadlines, just pure existence. I think that's a dream many of us share. Now, I understand that this lifestyle isn't for everyone. I myself am happy to live in a world where I can experience moments like these through videos online. But I'm sure many of you would love to experience living like this firsthand. And if you do, then I recommend you try out Surviving the Amazon. It is a survival game based in the Amazon rainforest where you must build a base, hunt animals, and explore the jungle while trying to survive as long as possible. Now, I haven't played this game yet, but from what I can tell from the Steam page, it sounds pretty realistic. You start off with nothing, just like in real life. You need to build a shelter, gather food, and most importantly, keep yourself safe. I've seen some gameplay and the graphics are pretty good. The game also seems to simulate things like temperature and hunger and thirst just like in real life. I know many of you watching this video are probably experienced in surviving the wilderness. Why don't you show the world your skills and test yourself in surviving the Amazon? Back to the video now. The two men arrive at what appears to be a market of sorts. A group of people have gathered. We see women carrying baskets on their heads laden with brightly colored fruits. There are parrots everywhere. I assumed the men traded the fish they caught for something they needed from the market. It's unclear what this particular village does for fun, but they certainly know how to throw a party. In another scene, we see a bunch of kids running around with homemade toys. They scream and laugh, enjoying themselves. I noticed one boy playing with a flute. If you listen closely to the background of the video, you can hear him playing different notes. It sounds like he's having a great time. Another scene shows us a series of drummers dressed in colorful clothing. One man wears a feather headdress. They beat their drums in time with each other, creating a powerful percussive rhythm. The whole thing feels spiritual. In another part of the video, a group of men are lined up in a row facing us. They are shirtless and have markings on their chests. Two men hold up spears and shields, ready for action. Then the men run off into the forest. It seemed to me that they were going hunting, but it could be for any number of reasons. I hope they were successful in whatever it was they were doing. These people have been living in the rainforest for generations. You can tell because they have a deep connection with the land and the animals that inhabit it. In one particularly interesting scene, a man walks out of the jungle holding a crossbow. He also has a dead monkey slung over his shoulder. It was clearly a hard-earned kill. These people aren't afraid of hard work. It takes grit to live a life like this. For most of us, living in cities, it's easy to forget what it means to be connected to the earth, to be primal. It's almost foreign to us. I applaud these people for maintaining their traditional way of life. I wish more people could learn from them. Unfortunately, the world is changing fast, and I fear that soon we may never see a video like this ever again. We see the men, again, traveling deeper into the rain. Their canoes are waiting for them in the water. With a paddle in hand, they navigate the winding waterways. It always amazes me how calm people can be on the water. I love being on the ocean, but I get seasick. That's why I stick to land. But there is something about seeing someone else on the water that just makes me want to be there too. Maybe it's the tranquility. Maybe it's the freedom. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. We see a woman on the bank fishing with a net. She holds it over her head, then swings it in an arc through the water. She pulls it back out slowly. In a net is a small fish. It isn't much, but it's something. She smiles, then continues to fish. I think she's happy. Life here is hard, but she finds joy in the little things. The river seems to be the center of life for this village. Everything revolves around it. They eat what it provides. They travel on its waters. It is their lifeblood. We pan around to a patch of riverbank dotted with houses. We see a group of boys swimming underwater and diving for coins. It looked like fun. I remember when I used to dive for pennies as a kid. We would go down to the local lake and try to retrieve as many pennies as we could from the bottom. It was great exercise and a ton of fun. These boys seem to be enjoying themselves. One of the guys said he's got a shiny penny in his hand. He laughs and runs back into the water. I join in on the fun. As the video comes to a close, we see scenes of daily life. People tending to their crops, walking along the riverbank, fishing, cooking meals, playing flutes. I really enjoyed this video. There's something special about witnessing a culture that seems untouched by the modern world. These people seem happy and at peace with themselves and the world around them. I think we could all learn from them. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. Take care. There's something about the background noises of the forest at night that I find so captivating. It's as if the very essence of the woods comes alive when the sun goes down. The soft, rhythmic drumming in the distance, the low hum of insects, the rustle of wind through the dense leaves. All of these sounds create a symphony of nature that's both soothing and intriguing. In today's story, I want to share with you a tale that is deeply connected to these nocturnal sounds of the forest. The story speaks to the importance of listening not only to the sounds around us, but also to the silence. This story is part of a larger collection that has been shared around evening fires, passed down from one generation to the next. The memories embedded in these tales act as a lifeline connecting the past to the present. So let's settle around this digital campfire and delve into the world of this story. As the moon rises over the river, a stillness settles across the forest. But in the story's pass from one tongue to another, quietly around the evening fire, there lives a woman who did not fear the night. She walked beside it, listened to it, and spoke its language. Her name is not written in any book. There are no carvings of her face. Yet in the hearts of her descendants, she was remembered as the woman who spoke to Jaguar. The story begins with a sense of mystery. The woman's name has been lost to time, known only as Yari by the elders. The storytellers themselves are not quite sure if that S how it was pronounced or if it S the closest they can recall. The anonymity given to this central character immediately establishes a sense of reverence. She's not a figure of legend but an embodiment of wisdom and connection with nature. A woman so integral to the community that her very name has become a symbol of respect. The fact that there are no written records or physical artifacts adds to the mystique. Her legacy lives on through oral tradition, ensuring that her memory is kept alive through storytelling. We do not know where she was born, but we know the world she lived in. A forest of thick green silence, broken only by bird cries and breath. A world of slow rivers, sacred trees, and rituals carried on smoke. This sets the stage for the kind of world the woman inhabits. A place untouched by the noise of modern life. It's a world that's in tune with the natural rhythms, where the forest is not just a backdrop, but an active participant in daily life. It's a world of deep connection, where every sound tells a story and every moment is filled with reverence for nature. The description of the forest as thick green silence is particularly striking. It captures the essence of the jungle, a place where immensity is felt through the absence of sound rather than its presence. She was a healer, or perhaps a guide. The ambiguity here is intentional, leaving space for the listener to imagine the extent of her abilities. Was she a healer of the body or the soul? Did she guide the lost or lead ceremonies? The story doesn't provide clear answers, encouraging the audience to fill in the blanks with their own interpretations. This not only makes the story more engaging, but also more relatable. It allows the audience to see themselves in the story, imagining how they might respond in such a world. The elders called her Yari, though the name may have changed with each retelling. The acknowledgement of the passage of time and the changing of names emphasizes the timeless nature of the story. It suggests that the core of the narrative remains constant, while the details evolve organically as the story travels through generations. This also highlights the importance of preserving these oral traditions. Each telling isn't just a repetition but a unique interpretation influenced by the experiences and perspectives of the storyteller. She did not live in a grand house, nor did she own much more than her small tools, a bundle of dried roots, a bowl made from gourd, and a necklace of carved bone. These descriptions paint a picture of simplicity. The woman's connection to nature is evident in her humble tools, which are crafted from natural materials and used for practical purposes. This reinforces the idea that her power doesn't come from material possessions or societal status, but from her deep understanding and respect for the natural world. They say she could calm fevers with a whisper, predict the rain by how the leaves folded, and once, just once, she sang a child back from the edge of death. These snippets of her life showcase the woman's connection to the community. She's not just a recluse in the forest, but an integral part of the village. Someone whose skills and knowledge are valued and sought after. The fact that she can calm fevers with a whisper and predict the rain by the way leaves fold shows her intimate knowledge of nature and its healing properties. The story also hints at her ability to connect with the spiritual realm, bringing children back from the brink of death. These abilities are not presented as supernatural, but as a natural extension of her connection to the world around her. But the jaguars, that's what people remember most. The introduction of the jaguars creates a sense of tension. Jaguars are powerful, elusive creatures that command respect and fear. Their presence in the story foreshadows conflict and danger, raising questions about how the woman will navigate this challenge. The fact that the villagers turn to her, the person who speaks the language of the forest, shows the depth of her connection to the community and the respect they have for her abilities. There was a time, they say, when the animals of the forest grew restless. Villagers spoke of eerie silence, of missing dogs, of claw prints near the cooking huts, and then the cats came, big, silent, watching. This sets the stage for the climax of the story. The atmosphere is one of growing unease, with missing dogs and jaguar tracks hinting at the danger lurking in the shadows. The villagers are understandably fearful, unsure of what to do in the face of these mysterious threats. People were afraid. Some wanted to run, others wanted to fight, but Yari, she simply walked into the trees. The decision of the woman to walk into the trees alone is a pivotal moment in the story. It showcases her bravery, determination, and most importantly, her deep connection to the forest. While others consider fleeing or fighting, she chooses to understand the problem at its source, demonstrating a level of confidence in her abilities that borders on recklessness. They say she vanished for 3 days. No food, only the forest and the cat. The detail that she takes nothing with her, no food or light, emphasizes her trust in the forest. She is so in tune with her surroundings that she feels she doesn't need these things to survive. The mention of the cats evokes a sense of unease. They are no longer just animals, but a source of fear and uncertainty. The fact that the woman spends 3 days with them underscores the danger she faces. On the 3rd night, just as the moon bloomed full above the canopy, she returned. This detail about the full moon adds a layer of symbolism. Moons are often associated with magic, mystery, and transformation. The timing of her return heightens the drama, suggesting a climactic confrontation or revelation. The fact that she returns at all signals her survival, making her entrance even more anticipated. She was unbitten, unshaken, and in the shadow just beyond the trees, they say, a jaguar sat. This moment of confrontation or connection with the jaguars is the heart of the story. The fact that she's unbitten and unshaken suggests that she has not only survived, but has come out of the experience unscathed, possibly having resolved the conflict peacefully. The image of a jaguar sitting calmly instead of attacking her reinforces this sense of harmony. It symbolizes the respect and understanding she has earned from the animals. Yari never spoke of what happened, but after that, the cats kept their distance. The dogs stopped disappearing. The villagers went on with their lives. This ending ties up loose ends, providing resolution to the conflict. The jaguars keeping their distance and the dogs no longer disappearing indicate that the immediate threat is past. The story doesn't offer specifics about what transpired between the woman and the jaguars, leaving room for the audience to imagine the possibilities. It also shows the impact of her actions on the community. The villagers are able to resume their lives, likely forever changed by the experience and more attuned to the power of respecting and understanding nature. She grew old, slowly, like a vine wrapping itself around the years. The story concludes with a reflection on the woman's life. The metaphor of the vine emphasizes the natural and organic way she lived, deeply rooted in the rhythms of the forest. Her old age is not seen as a decline but as a continuation of her life cycle, seamlessly connected to the natural world. When she faded, quietly, like dusk slipping into night, her bones were wrapped in cotton cloth and laid to rest in the rich black soil near the water. Even now, some say, when the wind is still and the frogs go quiet, you can feel her presence, in the whisper of branches, in the golden eyes behind the leaves, in the hush of the forest holding its breath. This final passage beautifully encapsulates the story's central themes. The woman's connection to the forest is so profound that even in death, she remains a part of it. The imagery of her burial in rich black soil further emphasizes this connection to the earth. The story ends on a note of lingering mystery. The possibility of her presence in the sounds and silences of the forests invites the audience to continue listening, to keep an ear out for the whispers of the branches, the eyes in the leaves, and the hushed breath of the forest. Was she a real woman? A myth? Something in between? Perhaps it doesn't matter. What endures is her silence, her patience, her deep listening. And in a world that often moved without noise, she listened better than most. Soft sound of night insects, slowing heartbeat like drum in background. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the story of Yari, the woman who spoke to jaguars. If you enjoyed this tale, I invite you to explore more stories from around the world. Each story carries within it a unique cultural perspective and a valuable lesson. Your support means the world to me. Please don't forget to share, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep the stories alive together. Until next time, may your own story be filled with moments of deep listening, understanding, and connection with the world around you. What if you heard a sound? It was the quiet sound of soft rain on leaves, the gentle rustling of trees, and beneath your feet, a muffled drumbeat. If you stopped to listen, it would tell you stories about the soil. Deep in the layers of the forest floor, not far below, lies something different, something ancient, hard, smooth, round, oddly familiar, and strangely human. What if the earth itself was trying to show you something? That's exactly what scientists initially thought when they came across this particular patch of Amazon rainforest in 2007. They were mapping the vegetation in the region, But there was one area near the Brazilian city of Manaus that kept confusing their satellite scans. The team flew over the anomaly by helicopter and realized there was no secret geological feature or mineral deposit hiding in plain sight. Rather, it was something entirely unexpected, a perfectly circular bald spot in the jungle. They dropped down to the forest floor to investigate. And this is what they found. In every direction, the dense green canopy abruptly ended. There was nothing above them except sky. One researcher described it as stepping from twilight into daylight. Others described it as breathtaking, even humbling. They named it the footprint, and at first had no idea what to make of it. In the center of the circle, they discovered a man-made mound of earth about 13 feet high. Then as they moved farther out, they noticed that the soil inside the ring was dark and rich and fluffy, the exact opposite of the usual Amazonian soil, which is usually red, sandy and tired. This wasn't an accident. It was a message from the past. At first glance, the black earth seemed out of place. It doesn't look like much. It smells like dirt, and yet it's been here for centuries. For hundreds of years, this forest has flourished right on top of it. And the deeper the team dug, the older it seemed to get. First, they found fragments of old pottery, then a stone tool, a hammerstone worn smooth from countless hours of use. Finally, a fragment of charcoal, burnt plant matter so old it couldn't be dated with conventional equipment. This was a mystery, but it wasn't an archaeological mystery. It was a scientific one. Scientists started to wonder why this particular patch of Amazon was so eerily fertile. Why did it have a mysterious history? And how did people manage to create this vast landscape without leaving any obvious trace? For a long time, scientists believed that the Amazon could never have supported large populations. The soil, they said, was too poor, too weak to grow enough food for more than a few scattered people. But then they started to find other examples of the black earth, other circles of dark, rich soil hidden beneath otherwise ordinary patches of rainforest. Sometimes they stretch for more than an acre. In places where the trees grow taller, the fruits ripen faster, and forgotten gardens still bloom without care. These weren't accidents. They were made anthropogenic, meaning human in origin. These pockets of dark soil are known locally as terra preta, meaning black earth, and each handful is a quiet layer of memory. Anthropogenic forests are rare, but they're not unique to the Amazon. Similar examples can be found around the world, all of them incredibly fertile, thriving ecosystems full of delicious foods and strong medicines, all of them subtly shaped by the people who lived there hundreds or thousands of years ago. There are no written records, no grand monuments, only black earth and the green it nurtures. Yet it's clear from aerial photographs that they were once part of a much larger landscape. These carefully tended areas eventually expanded until they covered dozens of acres, all connected by winding pathways, some leading to streams and others to villages, all of them surrounded by clearings and cultivated fields. Every inch of this world was woven together to make a sustainable whole. This was a feat of engineering on a massive scale. How did they do it? Where did they learn it? Some researchers say these people created an anthropogenic forest, a garden so vast and subtle that it looked like wilderness, but was, in truth, a masterpiece. Over thousands of years, people gradually reshaped the rainforest to suit their needs. But instead of raising it, they enriched it, feeding it with everything they had. In other words, the forest was a gift given by the people and a gift received from the people. They didn't clear the forest, but they did shape it. Each village was designed to blend into the scenery, built from materials that came from the surrounding woods. It was a form of camouflage, but it was also a way of living in harmony with the forest. They weren't conquering nature, they were joining it. These settlements may have reached populations of more than 1,000 people, maybe even larger. Most scholars believe they arrived in the region around 2,500 years ago and stayed until 650 years ago when the forest swallowed them whole. But this timeline is hotly debated. Some researchers think they were there for as long as 8,000 years. Others argue that they only lasted a few hundred. And since nobody knows for sure, everyone is still searching. The fact is, they left behind very little evidence. No ruins, no tombs, no artifacts, just the forest. And yet their legacy is all around us. The terra preta itself is proof. It's made from layers of charcoal, minerals, bones, and other organic material, mostly compost and ash. It was added to the soil either during or after cooking, which makes sense considering that it contains small pieces of burnt. And that's another thing that people left behind. Pieces of old pottery that once contained food or drink, now fragmented and fused together by fire. These shards act like tiny sponges that hold water in the dry months. Meanwhile, the charcoal holds nutrients and the ash feeds the roots. Each handful of terra preta is a quiet layer of memory, a ritual of returning. After every harvest, the people gave something back. So wherever terra preta was made, crops grew stronger, villages thrived longer, and forests grew back even more vibrant than before. When scientists first investigated the forest, they were stunned by its density, diversity, and size. Within just 11 acres, they recorded 158 species of tree. In some areas, nearly half of the plants were the same species, creating nearly pure stands of forest. These included Brazil nut trees, cedar, mahogany, and many more. On average, they found 7 mature trees per acre. That's 7 times greater than nearby areas outside the circle. And compared to modern-day agriculture, the difference is even more stark. In the Amazon, the average farmer cuts down between 10 and 30 trees per acre. Inside the circles, they planted them. The question is, how did they know which ones? Today, if you want to grow a new tree in the Amazon, you have to bring it from somewhere else. The seeds won't be in the ground. That's the problem with the Amazon. Its soil is so depleted that it doesn't even contain traces of past vegetation. But within the circles, the team found plenty of signs that plants used to thrive here. There were buds, there were bulbs, there were even entire orchards full of fruit trees. There was so much life that archaeologists had trouble telling where it started and ended. Were these orchards planted by the forest people, or were they simply allowed to grow wild? The answer is probably both. The forest people were careful to preserve the variety of plants growing in the region, but they also introduced new ones. They domesticated useful species and selectively bred them. They probably brought seeds from other regions, too, expanding the range of useful plants available to them. And they needed that variety. After all, they stayed in one place for hundreds of years. And while they didn't have cows or sheep or pigs, they did eat meat. The bones of tapirs, deer, monkeys, and armadillos have been found inside the circles. It seems they hunted and gathered as well as farmed. So the fertility of the terra preta played a vital role in sustaining this lifestyle. It gave them a head start on the growing season, a rich, well-nourished soil that could produce twice as much as normal. And it didn't stop producing once it was made. Thanks to the terra preta, the forest grew back even stronger than before. As soon as it was cut, new seeds took root in the dark soil, drawing strength from the nutrients stored inside. Trees sprouted and animals returned. By the time archaeologists arrived, the forest was already hundreds of years old. It had fully recovered. It looked healthy and prosperous. In fact, it was so unremarkable that it almost blends into the scenery. But those who know where to look see the signs. The forest grows a little taller, a little thicker, a little greener, richer, deeper, hungrier, all thanks to a few simple techniques that humans used centuries ago. It's a lesson for us today. We often think that we need to get rid of jungles to farm them, to drain them of life before we can grow anything ourselves. But that's not how the forest people saw it. They saw a landscape waiting to be improved, coaxed, guided, and cherished. For them, agriculture wasn't just a job or a hobby or a way of making money. It was a relationship, a partnership between people and plants, between human ingenuity and natural abundance. And it's a lesson worth remembering, especially today. Some researchers say these people created an anthropogenic forest, a garden so vast and subtle that it looked like wilderness, but was, in truth, a masterpiece. Hey there, welcome to my channel. As the sun paints the eastern sky with streaks of orange and pink, life begins to stir in the village. Villagers awake, stretch, yawn, and shuffle out into the day. A rooster crows, a dog barks, and soon, children's laughter mingles with the rhythmic slap of drying cassava. Life here flows at the pace of the river, steady and serene. There are no clocks to watch, no deadlines to meet. Time here is measured in the rising and setting of the sun and the changing of the seasons. It's a world away from our own. But what if we told you there's more here than meets the eye? What if beneath this tranquil surface lies a complex society with its own laws, customs, and even currency? Welcome to the village of the indigenous people. Today, we're going to explore their way of life. But be warned, it's not all as peaceful as it seems. So stick around until the end to find out what secrets lie in wait. The soft crackle of a fire, muffled footsteps on wooden floors, the distant rhythm of ceremonial drums. As the morning mist lifts from the riverbanks, a hush falls over the village. Children pause their games. Elders adjust their feathered cloaks. Even the dogs grow quiet, because today, the Tuksoa is speaking. The Tuksoa, the ceremonial leader, the voice of memory, the keeper of order. Not a king, not quite, but someone with weight, someone whose words echo further than his voice ever carries. The Tuksoa's influence is woven into the very fabric of indigenous culture. From the smallest village gathering to the largest ceremonial event, his presence is felt and respected. But what exactly is his role in this community? How does he maintain order and uphold tradition? And how do the villagers respond to his guidance? Let's take a closer look. His longhouse stands at the highest edge of the settlement, not towering or ostentatious, but spacious, dignified, and open to the winds. It smells of smoked bark, old tobacco, and rain-dried reeds. Inside, the space breathes. Cool shadows shift across the floor. Everything is arranged with care, not in grandeur, but in meaning. At the center, a circle of stones frames the hut. The fire is never out. Its smoke curls upward, carrying whispers to the forest canopy. The leader does not live alone. His household includes his family, his closest advisors, and visiting speakers from other clans. Here, stories are shared, decisions are made. Disputes are settled not with fists but with hours of slow, careful words. Meals here are quieter than in other homes. Bowls of roasted fish, mashed cassava, and fruit are passed with solemnity. Sometimes, before eating, a short song is sung, a soft honoring of the hands that gathered and the forest that gave. The Tuksoa wears no crown, but he is marked with beads of polished stone, intricate tattoos, or woven sashes that speak of age, alliance, and vision. He is not a warrior, not anymore, but he remembers battles and loss and seasons that broke the riverbanks. He sits with his back straight, hands resting on his knees, and listens for hours if needed. Listening is part of the rhythm. He does not interrupt. He does not shout. In this culture, silence is not absence. It is wisdom. When the time comes for ceremony, the celebration of a new season, a birth, or a returning hunter, the Tuksoa leads with calm presence. He walks slowly. He sings with a voice both raspy and rich. His power is not enforced with weapons or walls, but with memory and patience and time. And though others toil in the fields or fish in the rain, the Tuksoa carries a different burden, to hold the weight of many lives in his mind and the past gently in his hands. At times, outsiders stumble into these villages, drawn by curiosity or in search of something authentic. They might marvel at the traditional crafts, the vibrant textiles, or the intricate bead. Some might seek a simpler life, yearning for a connection to the land and a slower pace. However, there's a price to pay for this experience, an exchange that goes beyond the simple transaction of money. The indigenous people have long understood the value of their culture and traditions. They recognize the significance of their ceremonies, languages, and knowledge, and they're not willing to give them up for a quick profit. Instead, they offer visitors a glimpse into their world in exchange for something equally valuable: respect. By entering a village, outsiders are expected to show reverence for the customs and beliefs of the indigenous people. They must learn to participate in ceremonies with the proper attire and rituals. They must listen and observe without interrupting or judging. And most importantly, they must understand that they are guests in a world vastly different from their own. This is not a vacation. It's a lesson in humility and cultural exchange, and those who are willing to learn will leave forever changed. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, the village stirs with activity. Men and women head to the fields to plant and harvest crops. Children practice hunting and gathering skills under the watchful eyes of their elders. The air is filled with the sounds of laughter, conversation, and the occasional bird call. The social structure of the indigenous community is one of balance and equality. The Tuksoa, or chief, holds a prominent position, but he doesn't rule like a king. His role is more like a father figure, guiding and advising the community, settling disputes and ensuring harmony. Beneath him are the heads of households, each responsible for the well-being of their family and their contributions to the community. The village is also divided into clans, each with its own distinct roles and responsibilities. Clan members support each other, sharing resources and helping in times of need. Equality is a cornerstone of their society. Men and women are seen as equals, each contributing their unique skills and perspectives to the community. Women are not just homemakers, they are active participants in every aspect of village life, from decision-making to hunting and gathering. The indigenous people believe in living in harmony with nature. They see themselves as part of the ecosystem and they take only what they need to survive. They also believe in preserving their culture and traditions for future generations. Their ceremonies and rituals are not just religious practices. They're a way of passing on their history, values, and knowledge. In the evenings, the village comes together again. Families gather in their homes, sharing stories, singing songs, and dancing to the rhythm of their traditions. The sense of community is strong. Everyone knows everyone else and they take care of each other. If a family is struggling, the entire village pitches in to help. If there's a celebration, everyone joins in the festivities. Life in the village may seem simple, but it's far from easy. The indigenous people face challenges like poverty, discrimination, and the threat of losing their land and culture. Yet they persevere. They draw strength from their unity, their traditions, and their connection to the land. They know that as long as they stay true to themselves, they can overcome any obstacle. Now, here's a question for you. If you were to visit one of these villages, what would you bring with you? A camera to capture the sights, a notebook to record the stories, or an open mind and a willingness to learn? Let us know in the comments below. As darkness falls, the fire in the central plaza flickers, casting dancing shadows on the thatched huts. The villagers are gathered here, not just for warmth or light, but for community. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke and roasting meat, mingling with the aroma of blooming jasmine. Around the fire, stories are exchanged. Laughter echoes, and the rhythm of drums pulses like a heartbeat. The Tuksoa sits apart from the revelry, not aloof, but contemplative. His gaze is steady, his expression serene. For him, the fire is more than just a source of light and warmth. It's a symbol of his people's resilience, their ability to thrive in the face of adversity, to find joy in the simplest of things, and to honor their traditions through the generations. As the night deepens, the firelight paints the Tuksoa's face with flickering shadows, highlighting the lines etched by time and experience. His eyes, deep-set and wise, seem to hold the stories of his people, their triumphs, their struggles, their hopes, and their dreams. Around him, the villagers relaxed, shedding the weight of the day's work. Their faces, illuminated by the fire, are relaxed, their eyes shining with the joy of living, the camaraderie of shared experiences, and the comfort of belonging. For the Tuksoa, watching his people revel in the simple pleasures of life, there's a profound sense of satisfaction. He sees the health of his community, the strength of their bonds, and the vibrancy of their culture. In this moment, the worries of leadership, the burdens of responsibility, and the complexities of tradition fade into the background. All that matters is the warmth of the fire, the laughter of the people, and the promise of another day on the path of cultural resilience. And that's all for now. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an adventure. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious. And remember, every journey begins with a single step. Where will your journey take you? Hello, my love, you awake? Just one more minute. Let's listen to the soft river sounds returning. Gentle lull of insects in the night. And now, the forest rests. The fire dims, the hammocks sway, and the village exhales. Tonight, you have traveled through time. You've journeyed deep into the earth, through soil and silence, through story and shadow, from the fisherman's daily rhythm to the woman who vanished into the trees, to the soil that remembers and the leader who carries more than just words. These are lives that once were quiet, rooted, deep. You may never walk their paths, yet in your stillness, you have heard their footsteps. And now the darkness around you is alive with the dreams of 1,000 fireflies. They wink and dance, and with each pulse of light, you remember all the still moments of this day. The sun on your skin, the wind in the trees, the taste of berries sweet, the smell of wood smoke in the air, the sound of laughter echoing everywhere. And now the river slows, the current sighs, and in the inky sky, the first stars rise. You close your eyes and drift away. The sounds of the day fade into a peaceful hum, the buzzing of a lone mosquito, the whisper of leaves on the forest floor, a cricket's song, a mournful call, and in the distance, the soft splash of water. A fish leaps and breaks the surface tension, then slips beneath the waves. The moon climbs higher in the velvety sky, casting long shadows that stretch and twist like dancers in the pale moonlight. A shooting star streaks across the darkness, leaving a shimmering trail of light, a silent wish upon the night. The forest breathes a little easier now. The animals nestled in their lairs, the hunters lay their weapons down, the fireflies blink and glow, and in the heart of the village a baby stirs, then lets out a peaceful sigh. The night is filled with tiny sounds, the rustle of a possum in the leaves, the hoot of an owl, the gentle breathing of a sleeping soul. You feel the warmth of the earth beneath you, the coolness of the night air on your skin, and in the stillness, you hear the whispers of the ancient trees, stories of life and love and all the dreams that touch our hearts. You remember the laughter of children playing by the river, the wisdom of elders gathered near, the rhythm of life that ebbs and flows like the tides. You've walked among the giants today, seen the strength in their roots, the solace in their shade, the secrets they keep, the stories they've read. And as the hours drift by, you feel their presence, a silent lullaby. The river flows, the night goes on, the moon climbs high above the trees, and in the quiet of the wood, a lone wolf lifts his head and howls at the moon, a song of longing, a prayer for the dawn. And in your dreams, you hear his call, a whisper in the night, a story to and now let sleep take you gently, like a canoe gliding down a soft, black river, toward morning, toward stillness, toward peace. The sound fades to soft river water and distant night birds. The world is hushed, the day is done. Now close your eyes and journey on. Good night, my love.